and it's 6:30, so we're going to get started. And Paige will continue to admit people as we go. So, hello, 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 everyone. We're so pleased to welcome you all to our very first session of the Art of Living quarterly series. A few housekeeping details before we get to the good stuff. On Friday or Monday, you will receive a follow-up email that will have a link to the recording of tonight's session that will also be uploaded to the Ready to Grow YouTube channel. The email you will receive will include the 1-hour training certificate that you all want to have, as well as a link to a feedback survey. And we thank you in advance for completing that feedback survey. So now a little bit about tonight's session. There will be time at the end of our session for questions, and we will end the recording before the question and answer session begins. Feel free to put your questions in the chat box as we move along as a placeholder for yourself, and we will share these questions, or you may unmute and share your questions with Liz directly at the end. We thank Liz for sticking around and answering questions afterwards. We will be muting all for the session until during the session until the question and answer portion. And please remember to put your names in the chat box. It just helps us with our attendance and the certificates and all that good stuff. So now on to the introduction, a little more about our session. Ready to Grow asked early educators back when we were relaunching Ready to Grow in January of 2024. Yes, 2024. We asked early educators and program leaders about their most pressing needs. And one of the three most pressing needs was that.
I didn't mean to ask them.
Thanks, Paige. One of the most pressing needs that rose to the top of all needs was supporting the well-being of the adults caring for and teaching our community's young children, as well as supporting their parents, their families, and also supporting one another. We do spend a lot of time together in classrooms, don't we, as teams? And so that support of one another was needed as well. So tonight's session offers practical strategies to build resilience, boost energy, and focus to support overall well-being. And that is the theme for our entire series this year. There will be 3 more series or sessions to this series. We have one on February 5th, May 14th, and August 6th. The topic titles of these sessions will be shared with you in the post-session email that you will receive on Friday or Monday. So now let's get started with the really good stuff. I have had the pleasure and privilege of working with presenter Liz Wynette as one of her clients across the past 11 months, as she has guided my ongoing health journey that has been filled with both useful information and tools supporting my well-being, my energy, my focus, and my positive mindfulness about myself. I was fairly discouraged about my health when I started with Liz in December of 2024. Yeah, I guess. And so it has been an intellectual journey as well as a journey that has addressed my body, mind, and spirit. And so I'm so glad she can join us for our the Art of Living series. So Liz received her nurse practitioner degree from Valparaiso University here in Valparaiso, Indiana, her master's in nursing from Valparaiso University, her MBA from Indiana Wesleyan University, Marion, Indiana, and her BSN, her bachelor's in nursing from the University of Chicago, or University of Illinois, the Chicago campus. Liz's career spans cardiology, critical care, and advanced practice nursing. She has served in family practice, led cardiac and pulmonary rehabilitation programs, and designed and managed a lipid and heart failure clinic. Her research has informed clinical practice changes, and for more than 20 years, she has devoted herself to creating and leading a therapeutic lifestyle and weight loss clinic, Through her clear outlook practice, Liz continues to center individual well being, inspire new possibilities, and share her expertise through engaging and evidence based clinical work and presentations like tonight's presentation. So it is my privilege to introduce and share Liz with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. And she was nice enough not to give you the date that I accomplished all those degrees. That was good. And I'm also I'm a critical care nurse. My specialty is cardiology. Um, I was a cardiac care nurse, and then I became the head nurse of cardiac care, and then the administrator over cardiology at St. Joe. So nursing was my focus until I decided to change careers and become a nurse practitioner. That's one of the beauties of nursing. You can keep evolving, which is very nice. Okay. For today, resiliency. Resiliency is something we all have. It is not unique to any one person. It is, however, more developed in some people than others. What I'm going to share with you in that handout, it's actually got many more words that I normally give in a handout, and I'm going to tell you why. What I found was many studies from many different fields. Um, Parent-child, growing resiliency, over 1,200 families in over 22 nations. Post 9/11 is rich in studies on resiliency. Studies from psychology, studies that differentiate men and women and how we handle depression. So what I gave you was, number one, a really cool survey. And I don't think there's anyone sitting in the audience who didn't figure out that the list of things you rated yourself on are all qualities of resiliency. The higher the score, the higher the resiliency. What it doesn't matter the overall score as much as it matters to look at the areas where you ranked yourself low, because those are your biggest opportunities to become even more resilient. How do we become resilient and grow in it? It is actually more the little things than it is the big things. You set a goal in the morning that you are going to walk today after work. You come home, you're tired. Do you walk? If you do, you just put a major coin in the bank of resiliency. If you don't, you have diluted your own power over yourself. We are body, mind, and spirit. The mind, and I think everyone's comfortable with that, the three pieces of a human being. Our mind has our conscious mind. That's where you think and plan. Subconscious, your emotions, your habits, and your health is all run by the subconscious. Superconscious, divine inspiration, intuition. It is something beyond us that we all have access to. Funny how the three pieces of the human being also match body, mind, and spirit. Mind conscious, body subconscious, spirit superconscious. And you're going to hear me reference all three. Um, all of my presentations are biology based if there is any biology behind what I'm talking about, because that is more important, much more important than the latest research. Why? Research changes. Standards in healthcare change. It should never have been a standard, it should only have been a guideline. When the guidelines came out, yes, I was in nursing when they came out in 1980. Doctors were up in arms. How dare any organization give me a standard? They said, no, 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 it's not a standard, it's just a guideline. But we don't use the word guideline anymore, we use standard. How could it possibly be a standard if it changes in 5 years? Logically speaking, they're telling you we know that the knowledge is evolving. And never discount judgment. Human judgment is where your mind is processing, looking at that unique human being, and you work with them. So biology is a big deal. Sometimes the science studied denies biology. Well, it's wrong. Okay, but you're going to hear all of it. And then there is spirit. For spirit, you will see interjected several times actual quotes from the Bible. What I learned which I see as, I mean, God created us. It makes total sense that there's a way of having an instruction manual, and that's how I interpret it. I'm not talking religion. I'm talking growing in our connection with God. You can call it the intellectual, creative, loving, force in the universe. God Himself told us we'll never define Him, but our superconscious exists, and that connection, just like growing intellectually improves us, growing with that connection improves us. So you'll see Bible verses. In the relaxation class, there is a certain technique, which that is our next topic, by the way. There is a technique to create calm, which I'll give, it happens to be my favorite. When we are stressed, we tend to look like this. Eyes are squinty. When we figure out what's going on, we go, oh, okay. Aha eyes, which is what I call it. You see your periphery better when your eyes are open wide. When the muscles are relaxed, you are hooked into the vagal nerve, which creates calm. When you're squinting, you're hooked into adrenaline. We need a certain amount of adrenaline when you are challenged, but you don't need it to go crazy. We call it stress. Stress is really not the problem, distress is. So when I taught at one point, open your eyes and you'll be able to stay calm and focused, I go, oh my gosh, open your eyes and you will see. And from that's the Bible quote. And from that, I became to be very aware that a lot of the instructions we now have science behind, we have psychological studies behind, and so I like to link them together. So that's what you'll see. Okay, so resiliency, what you've already heard is the small decisions you make in life and carry out are your biggest tools to create resiliency. It is exactly overcoming the little decisions and making it happen that make you capable of handling the big. It is not true that big major events bring out the resiliency. No, it doesn't. It lets you use it. If you really don't have it at that point, you most likely won't have it with a big one either. So build it, and children build it. Children, you work with children. Your subconscious is about the equivalent of about a 4-year-old, would be one way to look at it. You are training yourself and rearing yourself up all the time with the most important conversation you'll ever have is with yourself. Be truthful and do what you say you're going to do, because then your subconscious listens to you well. That's going to be the fourth in the series, is how you create habits. But how you talk to yourself is vital, and it, of course, is key to resiliency. Your subconscious knows when you say it, you mean it, so it won't give up. And it will also generate the stress hormones. It'll generate other hormones that make you be able to accomplish what you set. It's like staying up late to study for an exam. If you say, I'm studying, I'm going to cover this, you will keep getting a second wind, a third wind. And then after the exam, you'll most likely crash, which is just fine. But our body is built for that. But if you don't make your body do what you said you're going to do, it becomes lazy. And it says, I know you're not serious. Don't worry. I'll give you 5 minutes. You'll lose focus. So resiliency is about the little decisions. Keep your focus. Okay. So I will now bring up the slides. And I very much look forward to your questions, by the way, because that way, and if you have one, I'm quite positive someone else will. It helps make what I say come alive, because your question makes it be a part of your life. Okay, so resiliency. Living resilient in body, mind, and spirit. These are two things in my clinic. This is a work of art that I happen to like, and I really like it because they're flying together. They're coordinated even though they're not chained together. They have a common purpose, and life is much more fun when you have someone to share it with. Belonging is an important part of becoming resilient. These are sayings in my clinic. This is over a doorway. Be the change in your life. If you want the world to change, be the change. If you want something new, instead of wanting your husband, wife, children to do it, do it. Be the change you want to see in your life. And when you know what you want, choose to proceed. Okay, Before action, nothing will happen. Okay. Interesting. It had a little delay in moving to the next thing. That's okay. So you know Terry. I asked her who my audience was, so I can use more examples specific to what you do. But again, every time I say this is what you would do to a child, in your head, no, I'm also saying this is what you're doing for your subconscious, to train your subconscious to give you all the hormones, chemicals needed so you can accomplish what you want. Become resilient. Become resilient. Okay. We support families and caregivers of young children so they can thrive and survive. I love that. It is about thriving. Resiliency is not only about surviving, although it's important. It's about thriving. And if your goal is to thrive, what it takes to survive almost becomes natural. It's automatic. You're not expending extra energy on it because it's understood. You know, you get up in the morning, you shower, you brush your teeth. That's understood. You don't have to plan it. It's a part of you. You've made it a habit and it's a part of you. So surviving becomes, the good judgment to survive becomes a part of you. You've automated it through wisdom throughout your life. And so you're free to thrive. I don't know why it is not moving to the next one. Okay. Antidote. The little arrows on the bottom are not there.
Okay,
I
so
hear it clicking. Um,
do you want to take it down and try again? Maybe upload it again?
yeah. Okay, so this has the arrow, but I didn't upload it yet.
Yeah, so share your screen. And
Yeah,
if anyone has an idea, feel free to come off mute if I've
share.
not had this problem before.
No, I'm sad to say. Okay, so it's there. It is. The arrows are back. Okay, good. I don't know where
Oh,
they.
good.
Okay, so good. All right. Um, so the examples I pulled are patients of mine that also have elements of the resiliency, which of course almost everyone would because they made it. They made it to their goal. So this lady said, I have no idea what my body was capable of. I came here thinking I was saying goodbye to everything I love. Dread is not unresilient. Dread happens sometimes, but the resilient person keeps moving. Okay. In reality, I gained everything. I'm experiencing a full life for the first time. Right now, if you are feeling pain, shame, fear, defeat, or discouragement, I want you to know you can do this. I love that quote because resilient people feel pain, shame, fear, defeat, and discouragement. They don't stay there. It becomes the ground off of which you bounce back. It's what you do with it. So there's nothing wrong with having these heavy emotions, but you don't stay in them. You refuse to stay in them. And you remember where you're going, which she did. And she kept going and she did wonderful. Um, Okay, I did it and I'm keeping it. Both ladies graduated over a year ago, and I see them all the time, periodically for, I support people ongoing and they show up about every 2 months now, every 3 months. And this young lady, I mean, that doesn't even look like the same person. It's stunning. So it was fun to watch her lose her 72 pounds, and she is keeping it. Keeping it means you stay within about 10 pounds. Keeping it does not mean you stay on the number. I want to make that really clear. And what I and tell everyone as you even start, when I orient them, if they're thinking of starting, I'll say, I would suggest you adopt a 10-pound rule. 11 pounds is a new clothes size. So if you say, I won't get any higher, what do you have to do? Don't buy bigger clothes. Don't buy bigger clothes. Okay. I do ketosis myself, and that's what I use mostly about 2 to 3 times a year. And it's when I'm up 10 pounds and it won't budge by just eating a little less. And I do it for 2 to 3 weeks. So it's very easy to clean things up if you don't let it get out of hand. And she is keeping it. She usually fluctuates between about 7 and then she turns it around. Okay. So I'm going to start with the end in mind. This is the summary of my presentation. Find a purpose and belonging. Belonging can be to a family, it can be to your work. You have an identity, you belong somewhere, and you know what you bring. What do you bring as an individual? What do you plan to bring as an individual? A purpose. Then go for it. Move from could have, should have, when you hear yourself say that, to, well, I'm doing it now, or I'm wiser now. The less time you spend in regret, shame, depression, the more energy you'll have. And I am not saying that those emotions won't happen. What I am saying is prepare yourself for them and then move forward. Okay. I actually had a friend who at one point I was having an exceptionally bad day. He was actually a coach. That's not what I was seeing him for. He was a French. And I kept saying, oh my gosh, I should have done this. I should have done this. I should have done this. And after about 10 minutes of it, he looks at me and says, my goodness, Liz, you're sure shooting all over yourself today, aren't you? And I can't say should have anymore without thinking of him saying that. And it lightens it up, doesn't it? Yeah. Be careful of shoulda, coulda, and move into, so what are you going to do with it? It means you wanted it different. So what are you going to do with it? Do it different now. Can you still fix it? Can you move forward from where you are? Do it now. Okay. Faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. This is about action. Resiliency is about action. You're moving forward. Okay. Oh, look, I think you know her. Okay. I feel like who I want to be. Successful, so much energy. I'm happy, which is exactly what she said when she just started, isn't it? Freedom from worry and anxiety of not looking good and moving well. And the moving well is a big deal. My goal in life for my patients, one, I honor your goal, but what is mine? That you can make decisions in life based on what, if you want to do it, not can you do it. That your body doesn't hold you back because of the weight from living the life you want. And then you're just deciding, do you want to or not? Because you can. I actually do almost nothing to encourage people to exercise. Why? I haven't had a single person join my program without saying they want to move more. They want to do more. You want to do more. You don't need me for you to do more. So make yourself capable. 10 pounds off your body is 40 pounds off your joints, in case you're wondering. So being more active and agile is a natural thing. Okay, so there we go. Resiliency, the tortoise and the hare. I actually bought a statue. It's a very whimsical statue of the tortoise and the hare. And every now and then a patient asks me, why is it in the waiting room? And here's the reason. The race is not won by moving faster, but by those that keep moving towards their goal. We can discourage ourselves by mistakes. Resiliency is doing less of that. Acknowledge the mistake. Different from blame. Very different from blame. Blame is, it's your fault it didn't happen. What does that mean? It means I have no power. I gave you all my power. You either change or I can't move forward. Well, that would be a sad life choice. Instead, what piece do I own and use it? What piece was mine? And I'm not saying that other people don't contribute to things that don't go right. I am saying act upon what you can control. You know, a friend who's always late, but you love them, but they're always late. So instead of being late for the theater, you might decide you're going to give them their theater tickets and you have yours. And you're going to say, play starts at 6:30. I'll be in my seat. If you're not, I'll keep it warm for you. So you're still with them, but their habit no longer keeps you from getting into the theater on time. Does that make sense? So you have choices. Find the piece you own and use it and keep moving forward. Okay, this is my husband. I had an opportunity 3 years ago through my church. I donated to build the structure in this school in Africa that serves people in rural areas where there is no high school. And in the process, I sort of looked up to God and said, what am I to spend? And I got this number in my head. And it turns out to build what I wanted to build was only half of the number I got. And I almost looked up and said, "Thank you, God. Good news. I saved this much money." But that didn't sound right. So I told the guy, because you're not going to believe this, but I have this much more money to spend. What do you need? And it turns out he was a science teacher. My husband was the head of the science department at Culver Academies. And so what I ended up doing is building a science lab, which almost no high school in Africa has. But this little urban place has one. And he says to me, I did it anonymously, and he says, "Well, Liz, you're not going to be anonymous. You can't be anymore because it's going to be the Stephen Dennis Winnett Science Lab," which was really cool. So in doing that, my husband would not have wanted a school in his honor, a lab in his honor. That would have done nothing for him. He was very humble, very accomplished, very humble. So I said, this is so that his values can live on for the students. That's what I wanted, and that would make him happy. So my sons and I played for months, and these are the quotes we came up with. What would Steve want them to know? To give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. That's in front of the science lab above the blackboard. What is this? It's Steve Prefontaine. He was the Olympic runner who broke the 4-minute mile when science said it was impossible. Now, I think that's especially useful for a science lab because you want to learn, you want to know what is known, but you must also know we don't know what all is to be known. So never limit yourself by what science told you is limiting. Because when you discover, man will fly, right? Who would think this heavy metal object is ever going to fly? But it does. Amazing what we can do. So that's one. The other, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. Every day in every way, getting better, better, and better is a saying I have in my clinic. But that is 100% was Steve. He wasn't happy nor sad because of anyone around him and what they accomplished. He knew what he could do, and he always made it better and better. That's resiliency. You compare yourself to yourself, and your joy comes from that. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world in, actually, it's the only thing that ever has. You make a big difference. Okay. The Precious Present is a book I would recommend. It'll take you 15 to 20 minutes to read, and I'm going to leave it at that. But trust me, you will leave feeling empowered and motivated. This is the work of art in the clinic, and that hallway has people's 30, 60, 90-pound pictures. Here are words. When I left, I ran a weight loss clinic for 12 years at Elkhart Hospital, Elkhart General, and then I left and I started my own. And when I left, I had asked 10 people permission to interview them. They were 10 very different people who all had been resilient. They accomplished things that to me was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you overcame that. I was so impressed. So I interviewed them, all different things. And when I was done interviewing, I was looking for what are the qualities that resilient people have. And here it is: faith, courage, and determination. And yes, faith did mean a knowledge that there is a power beyond them that loves them and works with them. That was generically true. And they chose to proceed, for heaven's sakes. They found the goal and they were going for it. One person said to me, I said, well, what did you think? And there was a major obstacle that came up. How did you go on? And they looked at me and said, there was never a choice not to finish. And it was the most sincere, couldn't understand how I could even ask that question. Well, that is completely bought in. Resiliency, know where you're going, and by golly, go there. Okay, the objectives from today, you took the resiliency assessment. You may have noticed the answer key said 80 to 100, and if you did the math, if you totaled up all your answers, well, the highest score is 80. Okay, so what I gave you in your handout, and you're going to see, I took 80% of the 80, and I gave you what that range is. So mathematically, you'll know what your number is and what it is for your score for resiliency. What are the qualities of resilient people? And I told you the variety of resources that I used. The reason you have the handout, you have the detail. What will the detail show you? Repetition. Doesn't matter if you're studying people post-war, families and children, people post 9/11, general psychology study, it doesn't matter. The qualities overlapped, and that's what I gave you. So you can begin to see the pattern, and that adds validity when more and more studies have the same pattern. Okay. Gain habits to promote resiliency. Gain them yourself. Make that be who you are. And the next time you say, um, I'm going to file my papers every Saturday. I'm not going to have a pile of things to file. I'm going to literally file them every Saturday. And then when Saturday comes and you're busy and now it's 9 o'clock at night and you haven't filed it, and you say, oh my gosh, I was going to file every Saturday. Instead of saying it's okay, I'll do it tomorrow, you do it. You do it. And notice how you feel. Your subconscious will just have learned something about you. By golly, this woman's going to do it. And I see mostly women. There may be men in the group which I haven't seen. So I did say women. But you did it. You're going to blow your own mind. And all of a sudden, doing it, whatever it is, becomes natural. That's resiliency. That's resiliency. You can't get sidestepped. And we're going to work with human biology and how the mind works, and then enjoy the presentation. God's love grows and it brings hope. The virtues for people, faith, hope, trust, and gratitude are promoted as you read the Bible. Endurance and perseverance. Now, perseverance is resiliency, right? To meet the obstacles and challenges of life. So, what does the Bible tell you about perseverance? Here it goes. Consider it pure joy. What? Joy? Consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. The children you work with from infancy are building resiliency. Depending on how you support them as obstacles come up and the faith in them that you are living makes all the difference. In case you didn't pick this up, no trials, no resiliency. You cannot become resilient unless you're overcoming something hard. You need something hard. That's just sort of good to know. Sometimes I'm in a real mess and I say, boy, I can't wait to see what I'm going to get out of this. But I'm going to get something and I'm going to get through it. I'm going to get through it. That's understood. It becomes understood. Okay. This is your emotional frequency scale. I use it in my emotional talks, and it's very literal. Um, Emotions that drain us, fear and anxiety are as bad as it gets. Um, by the way, the statement in the Bible, fear not, is the most frequently stated words in the Bible. That's because it's so darn toxic. It is so toxic to who you are as a human being. You are warned about it. You are warned about it. Sadness and depression, guilt is a -2. Anger, frustration, blame is a -1. What sets you free from the drag? The truth. But only if you accept it. If you hear the truth and are in denial, all you focus on is who you can blame. Well, you're in the hole again, in case you're wondering. That's a negative emotion. Instead, the truth happens, you accept it. And you know what usually happens? We do this. Oh, yeah, that's what happened. Heavy sigh. The heavy sigh is your subconscious taking in the truth you just gave it, and you essentially told it, we're going to be fine. So now you're inspired to do something. You do not get to +1 unless you do something. You must do something. Resiliency is about doing something. Okay? Then you're empowered, and now you appreciate what you do, for heaven's sakes. Oh my gosh, it's a +2. That's why there's so many books on gratitude, by the way. It is an incredibly high state of mind to live in. A grateful person, number one, they're better company, and they're resilient because they're living in a very high energy state. This is an important thing to know because we drain ourselves. We drain ourselves. We let fear and anxiety run. This is very important to be aware, which is why the next class is the relaxation class, by the way. That was on purpose. It is so important to know how to soothe yourself and regain your head. It is such an important skill. And you got my favorite skill already. Just open your eyes. Just open your eyes and notice how you feel. Just open those eyes. Try to fret with your eyes wide open. It's very hard. It's very hard. which is very cool. Okay. All right. Another example of resiliency. This is a Navy SEAL. He climbed a flag post to fix the flag. The bottom hook had come loose. Dom Razzo, a Navy SEAL, climbs the flagpole at a Navy SEAL monument in Virginia Beach in order to fix the wayward flag. The SEAL says that I had to do it. I had to give it my all for those who sacrificed their lives for their country. He was a Navy SEAL. Did he belong? Yes, he belonged in the family of Navy SEALs. He had a high sense of belonging, and he had to do it for those who gave them all. What do you think about those who degrade our flag? Well, I give it 0 time a day. I only focus on what makes a difference in my life. Whoa, big resiliency skill. Stop being distracted. If it doesn't aid you in moving forward, ignore it. You don't have to engage in every nonsense that crosses your ears. That's a very interesting wisdom thing. My rule of thumb is if saying it doesn't make it better, don't say it. And nope, you don't have to announce everything you know where something is not right. You really don't. Because if something isn't right and the person doesn't want to change their mind at all, why are you talking? It's not going to be any good. You're going to waste your energy on it. So that's just a thought. And then why? Because keeping your energy to get your own goals done is an important resiliency skill. What is resiliency? The process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, and threats, or even significant sources of stretch, such as a family, relationship problems, serious health problems, workplace, financial stressors. Resiliency is the ability to bounce back. What does a ball need to bounce back? It has to hit the floor. Resiliency is what you gain when you've hit the floor. You have to experience the hardship, the threat, to become resilient. It's you overcoming it. It's you overcoming it. That's from the American Psychological Association brochure, The Road to Resiliency, which you'll see more of. The ability to steer through serious challenges and to find a way to bounce back and thrive. There it is again, bounce back. And thrive, which would be Terry's quote. You are about helping people thrive, not just survive. Important goal, important goal. Okay, helping your child travel the road of life with resilience, and it's from the Resilience brochure, reaching reaching out, how to build resilience in your child. Remember, when we talk about the child, you might as well think about your subconscious. It's how you're going to talk to yourself. It's how you're going to talk when you don't feel like it. It's how you're going to talk to yourself. Okay. It's the ability to successfully cope with change and misfortune. Now, the word steer through, I want to put a little more time on. Steer through is the example I just give that you don't have to talk about everything. Sometimes you navigate life so that your energy isn't sucked up by a distraction you don't want to do anything with. That's an important skill of resilient people. They navigate potential distractions, which for them isn't a distraction because they didn't engage in it. They learned how to navigate it. Very important. They actually had a resiliency exhibit at the Crossell Art Center in Michigan City, and resiliency, the capacity to recover quickly. Remember, recover. That means you fell apart at one point, doesn't it? You recovered from difficulties, and it's a toughness. It's the ability to spring back into shape. It's an elasticity. So that's cool. Resiliency is natural. Yes, it's the first slide that's highlighted in yellow. We all have it. Today is for you to pick up different pearls of wisdom that resonate well with you, that you can do something with, and that make you feel at peace when the distraction to resiliency sticks up its head. You will recognize it as a distraction. The biggest distractions are our own emotions. Okay? So to learn how to soothe yourself so you keep your head. Again, that's why the next class is on relaxation skills. And I go in great detail on the biology, which will help you understand why you feel certain things and think certain things. we're incredible. We're built incredible. Okay. Research that shows resiliency is ordinary, not extraordinary. People commonly demonstrate resiliency, and that became very evident in the September 11th studies, like 10, 20 years post September 11th. How did people cope? We are born with the capacity for resiliency, but resiliency is something you have to nurture. You got to work on it throughout your life, starting with infancy. This isn't a future slide, but I'm going to tell you this right now because I said this was so cool. When a baby is crying and you hold it, please don't pick up the baby and hold it if you are all distressed with how the baby's acting right now. The baby will pick up your rapid breathing, your anxiety, and it'll think life is worse than it started. So the first thing you do is take a deep breath because you know that you can help soothe the baby. Whether it's instantaneous or after a few minutes of rocking, it doesn't matter. You know that you have several options at your fingertips that you can do. You can change the diaper, you have all kinds of options. So when you pick up the baby and breathe peacefully, the baby is picking up your breathing, which creates calm in the baby. So even if you don't know what to do, the simple and you're thinking of what to do next. You've changed the diaper, you fed it, you're like, I don't really know. Just the act of your calmness will help the baby calm down. That is incredible. I just think that's incredible. So we start out helping a child become resilient, learn how to soothe themselves by your calm demeanor. So that's sort of cool. Okay. Vulnerable individuals generally have passive coping strategies such as avoidance and blame. Blame is the hallmark. I'm going to tell you right now. Um, I've been teaching these classes so long, I can no longer verbally speak long in the avenue of blame without stopping myself because I'm saying, okay, Liz, you're giving your power away. Find your piece of it. I can't soothe myself by blaming anymore because I know it is destructive to me. And avoidance, there's a big difference between avoidance and navigating. Avoidance is it was important and you didn't do anything. Navigating is this isn't something I can do about, and I don't want to do anything about it, and I'm going to walk around it. Very different two behaviors. The vulnerable person is always avoiding conflict. So skills to have conflict, to talk through win-win is a very important one. The science of resiliency, the prevention in depression. This study simply showed that some people do get post-traumatic stress disease, some people get depression, some have almost no symptoms at all, and some people recuperate almost immediately with the symptoms. We have a wide variety. Who are these people? They're people who learn different resiliency skills. Individual variability exists. We know that, don't we? Um, this is a pregnant dog who was shot 17 times in Lebanon. The soldiers found him, they fixed him, and look at how many things they had to sew together. And this is now a therapy dog. See, even animals respond well to love and being helped. This is not a dog who has post-traumatic stress, although it certainly has a lot of opportunity to get it, doesn't it? She could never have been a therapy dog if she was triggered easily. She's peace. And look at that little eye. That is the most loving little eye. And think about that dog visiting soldiers who also are physically very changed. It gives them hope. It gives them hope. Yeah. So animals have it, people have it. How do you see what happened? How do you see what happened? Your mindset. Your subconscious mind is your trusting child who wants to serve you well. It always wants to serve you well. And again, that's the habit talk. You're going to learn a whole lot more. Raise yourself up to be resilient. These are 15 elements of resiliency. I have, I am, I can. These are the beginning words these families used. It was 1,200 families and children from 22 different countries. So what am I telling you about resiliency? It's not cultural. It's not poverty. It's not racial. Um, it is. We all have it. Do we have different tools according to different cultures? Absolutely. But we all have it. We all have it. So I have, what do you have? You have trusting, loving relationships. So my belonging. You feel a part of something, which we need. We had limit setting when we grew up. See, a parent isn't so much teaching a child to be obedient to them as they're teaching the child how to be obedient to themselves. They have to learn self-control. They have to learn self-control. And the parent teaches, you teach the children self-control by the limits you are consistent on. Why? Because you know they're capable. So you're going to have them live up to what they're capable. And they're capable. Okay. They have positive role models. How you act is showing them what are behavioral options. Your personal initiative. They got opportunity to have personal initiative. They don't have everything done for them. It's okay to do a work of art sloppily because to them it's their best work. You know, it's okay. They have caring in relationships and they're involved with their friends. I am. They know they are likable and lovable. They can be empathetic. They can feel for another person. They can be respectful. They can be responsible and they can be confident. And this is true in very little children. I had a friend whose son, whenever, like when he was 2, 3 years old, he'd see an animal on the roadside and he would make his mom pull over and he prayed for the animal. I mean, what children emulate what they see. And compassion. It was compassion for the dead animal on the roadside. Little children do exhibit it. So to say they're young, they're too young to understand if they did something really rude and hurtful, that's not true. That's an opportunity to help them grow, to learn how to manage that emotion. They're respectful, they're responsible. You give them responsibilities according to their ability, and they're confident. And again, responsible means the parent, the teacher, had them do what they said they're going to do. That's your job. You're going to do it. It's okay if it takes you an hour. It's okay if it takes you 5 minutes, but you're going to do it. And that's how they become efficient because they want to get it done efficiently. And I can consult others when I need it. I can solve problems. I can treat myself positively. I can make decisions and I can seek help. So those were the ones that came out of that study. So again, 15 elements. Again, you avoid seeing crisis as an insurmountable problem. You move towards your goal. You've heard that theme now about 10 times. Know what you want, go to it. Doesn't matter how fast, but go to it. And you look for opportunities to better know yourself. Okay. Some of it's good news and some of it isn't, but it's okay because when it isn't good news, that's your opportunity for growth. There it is. There it is. And we all have something to work on. The person who doesn't, who stopped growing, is dying. You're either growing or you're dying. Okay, so this picture, what do you see? Does the light pierce the darkness or does the darkness consume the light? What do you see? I'll let you look at it a little bit. Well, first of all, I used to use this and think that it's just a matter of opinion, and then I understood it wasn't, because by the way, darkness has no substance. Darkness is the absence of light. So darkness can't consume the light. It's a nothing. So light is piercing the darkness. It's opening up. And that's true in ourselves. The darkest parts of us is void of energy it needs. So let light in. All right, here's your score. If you were 64 to 80, you are very resilient. And I think most of you probably added it up. If not, you can, because 5 points is the highest you can get on each question. So 64 to 80 is very resilient. 52 to 63 is 65 to 80% of the questions right. You're better than most. 40 to 51, you got some work to do. Okay, 32 to 50, you're struggling, and it says less than 32, seek help. Oh, I would say seek help here. And help doesn't have to mean a professional. Help can mean a fellow person you work with who you happen to know is resilient. And you ask their advice. Say, how do you do that? Say, this one element, this one question is so hard for me. How do you do that? And you'll get different ideas and you'll come up with your own. So these are the questions. I put the ones in green that I wanted to say a little bit more. I'm playful. I find the humor in rough situations and I can laugh at myself. I can't begin to tell you what an important skill that is. Resilient people have a sense of humor. It doesn't mean, now, there's two types of laughter. One, You laugh because you're nervous and you're hoping the person will disregard it. Okay, that's not the beginning of resiliency. You laugh because you see it. Oh my gosh, I really did do that. And you're laughing out of a sense of honesty, knowing that we can all improve. And then the person laughs with you, but they don't have to say anything anymore because they already know you know. Does that make sense? To try to hide a weakness causes concern in those around you who were harmed by your weakness. But to admit it, you're done. They're done. They know you've got it, you're going to work on it, and they're done. It's a very good skill to not drag out a problem. Say, I got it. Say, I am so sorry. I'll fix it. Or I see it. I've got this. I'm working on it. Make sense? Okay. The other one. They feel anger, loss, and discouragement, but it doesn't last long. I can't emphasize enough that resilient people have the same dragging down sad, heavy emotions that non-resilient have. They don't stay in it that long. Bounce back. Don't be afraid of hitting bottom, because until you hit the bottom, you can't bounce back. Hitting bottom is called facing it. And just bounce back. So what do I want to do with it, right? What do you want to do with it? Okay. I learned valuable lessons from my experiences and from the experiences of others. I love that one. There was actually a prayer I had at one point because I'm very good at learning from my mistakes. I was so tired of learning from my mistakes. And my prayer was, God, please help me see it before it happens. I'm going to pay attention. Please help me see when someone else has solved a problem so that I can learn from them and I don't have to fall into the same ditch. That's a big thing. Resilient people can observe others and pick up wisdom without having to make the mistake themselves. I'm flexible. I feel comfortable with my paradoxical complexity. I'm optimistic and pessimistic. I'm trusting and cautious. I'm unselfish and selfish and so forth. In other words, there's a time for everything. There's a time for everything, and you know it, and you don't apologize for it. I'm always myself, but I notice I'm different in different situations. Well, heck, I hope that's true, right? There's things you could do at home with your loved ones that you're not going to do at work. Because at work, you're the professional. You have a different role, and that's an important skill. I'm a good listener, and I have empathy. I can understand what other people are telling me. Okay, and there's again the scoring system. So this is Qualities of Resilient People. This is simply a psychological study from over 30 years of research. And what are resilient people? Playful, childlike curiosity. They constantly learn. They adapt quickly. They bounce from hitting the bottom. They have solid self-esteem and confidence. Are you hearing the same words you just heard in the last one about children? Their self-confidence is their reputation with themselves. Your integrity with yourself is your biggest jewel. It's not for sale. You have your values, you live them. Okay. And if you've ever been in any situation where things change, I've had many career moves. My biggest career moves happened after something I loved, but leadership changed. And I could no longer live my value system within that corporate structure. And I left administration and became a nurse practitioner because I realized administration was the same general type of thing, and the vulnerability I didn't like anymore. So I changed careers. My reputation with myself was more important than keeping my job. This is just a basic truth. If you ever have to sell out who you are, your values, no one should ever ask you to do something harmful to a child. That's your career. It's not an option. It isn't an option. So at some point, if you sell out on little things, you will never be done. And this is actually what I said when I quit a very good job in administration. I told my husband, I see where it's going. At some point, I'm going to be told I have to fire someone, and I don't think it's fair, and I won't. And then I'll lose my job. So I'm leaving now. I'm leaving now. And I did. And it was a great career move. Sometimes we get pushed along in ways, and it turns out to be something better. Don't don't fret bad news, because sometimes it's your door to something more important. I would never have left administration and become a nurse practitioner. Becoming a nurse practitioner has been my greatest professional joy. It allowed, and then opening my own clinic, not in a hospital with more of their rules, allowed me to completely give you what I think is of value. The freedom is priceless. The freedom is priceless. They have friendships, they have loving relationships. Remember, set a goal and belonging. That belonging element is critical. And like I said, the loving relationship can be a coworker, it can be a dog or a cat. It can be spiritual. It's your choice, but you need it. You need to belong. You need to feel loved. And they express their feelings honestly, but this is, I bolded, and this is important. They can also choose to suppress their feelings when they believe that would be the best thing to do. Right? Don't ever feel obliged to expose what you think if you don't think it's going to do any good. That's just more trouble. So resilient people are wise and they know when to keep quiet. And that's not dishonest. It's not the right time and it won't do any good anyways. Important thing to keep in mind. They see things through the perspective of others, even people they don't get along with, they understand them. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's totally true. Once a person is understood, they'll listen to you. If we don't think someone understands us, we're not as willing to hear them. So seek first to understand. They avoid and block attacks. They take care of themselves. They're able to fight back, and it doesn't mean physical. It can be verbal, right? Unless you're being attacked in a subway and then have pepper spray. That's what I carry around when I walk. They see through con games. They're not easily manipulated. They can see when things don't fit. That would be your intuition. Sometimes it doesn't feel right. Pay attention to that. I would never willingly go through this bad thing that happened again, but I also would never give it up because it's one of the best things that happened to me. This is a yoga stance, the warrior pose, and the saying that goes with it is, I am confident and focused, drawing on my inner strength. Part 2, I am balanced and secure, open to new possibilities. They're strong and they receive help when they need it. Resilient people consult. You know who you are. My car is having trouble other than charging a dead battery. I'm bringing it to the repair shop. There will be no oil change happening by me. Okay? I could say limitation. I know what I have no intentions of doing. I don't want to grow in it because I don't want to do it. So you get help when you need it. Sex and gender changes. This is from a study on depressed people. Women display twice as many symptoms when they are depressed. And those symptoms are depression, anxiety, and seasonal affective disorder. Men have a higher suicide rate, but women have an increased number of suicide attempts. The study didn't go into explaining that. I have a theory. I think a lot of women really didn't want to do it. I think they were asking for help. And the men had already made up their mind. I think that's one of the differences. And that's hormone. Oxytocin, women, they want to make friends when there's stress. Men will go into more fight because of testosterone. There are definite sex differences. We both have a variety of hormones, so we both can exhibit both behaviors, but men would be more fight or flight, women would be more make a friend. Social support, both men and women need social support. Hence, resilient people belong. For both of them, it is important to belong. And once again, this article warned you, submissive personality traits, passive coping during chronic stress is linked with pathogenesis like hypertension, while coping is related to resiliency. Okay, coping often means just see what's going on and then decide what you want to do with it. Sometimes you see what's going on and your decision is, I'm not doing anything. That's okay, because you're still seeing what's going on. This is post 9/11, and this was eye-opening for me. They found out that the debriefing sessions, which we commonly do for traumatic events, it was not by any means the main thing that helped people. You know what helped them? Give them what they asked for. Psychological first aid is giving the person what they need to live their lives. Get them back to work, get them back to their family and friends, go back to school. Psychological first aid. The person will tell you what they need. Do it. That is eye-opening. Debriefing sessions. Sometimes it is very useful to have a session where people get an objective view of what happened. To repeat what happened over and over is traumatizing. So to tell a person, tell me what happened, tell me again, you're re-traumatizing them. That's not the best practice. But to move them forward. How can I help you with getting back to school? I'm having trouble concentrating. Okay, we'll start your homework here. We'll sit here. We'll make sure you have everything you need to do the assignment before you even go home. You give them support in what they told you they needed. Does that make sense? Talking about it has not been proven to be beneficial other than the initial when people are making sense out of what happened. Just something to think about. Just something to think about. So that was very poignant. So that was a big one in Survivors from 9/11. And again, you can read more detail. I'm giving you the highlights. Why? To see the pattern. To see the pattern. Your mindset is most important. If you see things as a threat, you make different hormones. That's all you need to know. And you will not be as resilient. If you see it as a challenge, you kick into adjusting your stress hormones so you function optimally. You will learn a whole lot about that in the relaxation class. Very different. The entire pattern of what your body makes, you're in charge. You will make completely different hormones. Very, very cool. We are made amazing. We are made amazing. So it's how the situation is viewed. And I'm now looking for more. Okay, NLP. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. It's what it says, nervous system. Linguistic, use of language, programming habits. So it's how to use your language to program your nervous system to have a habit. I'm an NLP practitioner. I did it because I had a friend who told me I'm doing a lot of it already. I ought to take the program. And what it says is number one, it has presuppositions, what it believes to be true. The person with the most flexibility of behavior will control the system. Ooh. The person with the most flexibility controls the system. There are people have all the resources they need to succeed to achieve their desired outcome. There is not a single unresourceful person. There are only unresourceful states of mind. That would be one of the biggest assumptions I have always understood about people. And is one of my personal values that made an NLP practitioner tell me to take the program because they were observing so much of it. I know you are capable. I am your partner in achieving that. I know you are capable. Every child you are with can grow. Doesn't matter if they have a handicap. And I'm going to tell you a personal opinion. We have way too many children diagnosed. We made autism spectrum. Once we added the word spectrum, we threw every single behavioral problem into one big pot. And oh my gosh, is there a big difference between a severely autistic person that has many, many behavioral and interpersonal blockages versus a person who's just a bit hyperactive. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have two sons. I don't think there are many boys walking this earth who aren't a bit hyperactive when you're telling them to do something they don't want to do. When they're doing what they want to do, they have the most incredible focus. We overdiagnose. And the problem with the diagnosis is you get a label stamped on your head. And then you begin to make assumptions about behavior that limits their potential. So what I'm asking for all of you is remember, no matter what diagnosis, every human being is capable of growth. And some of them will blow your mind. Some of the most accomplished people were hyperactive attention deficit as children. But they're amazing because people kept expecting them to do it. They kept it, and patience, but you expect it, right? And you listen and support. Okay, Spartan races. Yes, I do them. This is an 8-mile Spartan race. You have 25 obstacles you got to make it through. This is not an obstacle. This is to get into the start line of the race. If you can't figure out how to get over this wall, you don't get to do the race. Well, you notice I'm on the corner. My arms aren't strong enough. So I step on this belt here, and that's how I get over. Spartan races, unless you're competitive in it, you can ask for help, you can do whatever you want. Well, here I am on a bigger obstacle. You know what's on the other side? There's a gentleman doing this because I did this to them, and they know they got to boost me over this wall because otherwise I'm not getting over it. You're allowed to ask for help. Spartan races are everything you want to practice about resiliency. By golly, you're getting over it, through it, somehow. And if you can't do the obstacle, you got to do 30 burpees. Do you want to know what my true practice was for the Spartan race? Getting up to 100 burpees because I knew I'd need them. Because I knew I'd need them. Okay, this was a sign on the Spartan race. Obstacles are put in your way to see if what you want is really worth fighting for. Every time you fight for it, you're more bought in. It's an excellent, wonderful thing. Every time the kid accomplishes even the smallest thing, they're more resilient. And you make sure they know it. You make sure they know it. When you win, nothing hurts. Okay, and this is another obstacle. My sister goes right under the wall. I feel how deep the wall is before I even start because I want to know how long I got to hold my breath. Okay. Um, Choose to proceed, all is well now. That is a saying from a friend of mine who is a life coach. I love it. I choose to proceed, all is well now. If you like it, say it. It is incredibly soothing. I choose to proceed. You just announced to your subconscious, we are moving forward. It clears the emotional obstacles, and all is well now. Okay. This is the nervous system. I'm not doing it today, mostly because I'm out of time. But this is what we're going to go through in great detail for the relaxation class. We make amazing hormones. Some of them make us less resilient. Some of us make us more resilient. How do we decide? You make up your mind right here. Are you alert? Are you alarmed? Makes all the difference in the world. Do you know what you're doing with what you just found out? Including avoiding it if you want, if it makes sense to do that. Or are you alarmed and overwhelmed? You're going to make a whole different set of hormones. Okay, so enough of that. This I do like, and I'm going to tell you, pleasure. You try to make a person happy. You do things for pleasure. They make dopamine. That's nice. Happiness. You can only make serotonin when you realize you have an accomplishment. You got to let people do things. You must let the depressed person do things, or they don't make serotonin. To try to make a depressed person, and this isn't depressed talk, but depression is a great block to resiliency. It sucks your energy. So do something, even as small as taking a 5-minute walk. But you must acknowledge you did it. Then you make serotonin. You must acknowledge it. An over degree of humility will prevent serotonin. That's all I'm telling you. Okay. This you can look at and it'll blow your mind. This is also an energy frequency scale. It's a little slide. You use a magnifying glass if you need it. Life view. How do you see life? What is the level of energy you're going to get from it, and what is the emotion you live in most of the time? I'm going to start with the worst. Life is miserable. You feel shame. You always feel humiliated. Let's move up. Life is frightening. You feel fear. You have a lot of anxiety. It's your basic operating mode. Life is demanding. You have an undue amount of pride, and you are scornful to everyone else beneath you. You think people are beneath you. And I want you to notice something. This line, you don't own your life. You're not free until you cross it. What do you need to cross it? Courage. You see things as possible. That's all you need. And you affirmation. You notice when things worked out. So you build on things are possible. The smallest achievements build resiliency. Your decision to lift weights 10 times in the evening, 3 times, sets of 3, and do it takes 5 minutes. You are building resiliency. The little things become you. Again, and this is in your handout. I did give this to you because I do want you to get really comfortable with what mood are you in, what energy level. And by the way, you can go from guilt to appreciation like that. Because you suddenly understood, oh my gosh, I made this happen. I didn't mean to make this happen. Oh my gosh, I can do something. And you immediately look at the person and say, I am so sorry. I had no idea how this impacted you. I am so sorry. In seconds, you go from guilt to appreciation. In seconds. Know the purpose. Okay, I got enough of that. I got enough of this. These are all things you've seen. All right, I'll give my dad credit. This is me. My dad used to tell us, he had three girls, he wanted sons. I was his son by default. I worked with him in the garage. I was his partner in fishing. I'm the one that was there. So my dad often told us, my girls can do anything they set their mind to and are willing to work for. I believed him. When he passed away, I said to people there, I have to tell you, the most precious gift I have from Papa is he always said, my daughters can do anything they set their mind to and are willing to work for. And you know what my sister said? I don't remember him ever saying that. They didn't hang around him. They didn't hang around him. I believe him. And it is actually what I believe in other people. If God brings you to it, God will bring you through it. Do you want to get well? Before Jesus healed them, they had to want to get well. Do you want to become resilient? Do you not know, have you not heard, but those who hope in the Lord will find their strength beyond yourself. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Now, in the relaxation class, I will tell you the hormones that make this true. This is built into us. It's how we're made. How do you make it happen? You decide you're moving forward. And hope. Hope. And this is an example of hope beyond yourself. This lady's come back to me 5 times, and that's what it took to be able to hold on. And she knows to come back when she's struggling. This young lady came in. She had lost 10 pounds in the month, which is usually what people lose. These were her goals when she started. And she starts telling me how she's been in the hospital visiting her mother daily because her mother had a stroke. Her husband was diagnosed with cancer, and she's going to him with all these tests. And then they find out the original diagnosis was a mistake. And I'm listening to her, and my eyes are getting bigger and bigger. I'm like becoming overwhelmed by what this poor woman has gone through in the month, and she's down 10 pounds. And I'm like, this isn't fitting. And then she says to me, thank you. The diet plan was the only thing I had control over in the last month, and by golly, I was holding on to it. What do most people say? This happened, and that's why I couldn't take care of myself. What did she say? The diet was the only thing I had any control over, and I did it. Resilient. Resilient. That's her. That's her. Okay, you have these. This is a we made magnets out of this. Refuse to be anything but successful. Terry's got it. If she has, if you see her, you can ask for yours. And when you know what you want, choose to proceed. Make up your mind. And even if you have setbacks, even if you have to delay it, delay is different from giving up. Delay is not a valid excuse for failing. Delay says now is not the right time, but I'm going to get back to it when I can. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Now, the world said, why are you so optimistic? What do you think the world will bring? Then this is New Year's. I believe it will bring flowers. The world says, how can you possibly think that with all that's going on? Answer, because I'm planting flowers. That's on my webpage. Okay, we have this great group, 5-star performance. They help students. They've had really good outcomes. The 5 stars are teach this child a mindset of respect, responsibility, integrity, sacrifice, and courage. These are things we've talked about. that is it. All good. No time for anything else. So, to be resilient, find a purpose, find where you belong, and then go for it. Move from saying I coulda, shoulda to I'm doing it now, or I'm wiser. God bless you. The floor is now yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Liz. So many good pieces of information. So I wrote down a few notes, nuggets, and I just couldn't keep them, the ones that stood out to me. But I loved stop being distracted by nonsense. How often do we need to just remind ourselves of that? And I love the I have, I am, I can. And then with mistakes, what do I want to do with it? What am I going to do different? And that's exactly what we're learning in conscious discipline, the mind shift. Instead of blaming, we are trying to think, I notice, and what can I do about this to help the child or to help the community or to help myself? Adult first. We can't, it's like you have to take that breath to calm the baby. You can't just whip that baby up and think you can calm that baby while you're all in dysregulated state. You must take your pause and calm and then share that calm. So adult first. So questions. Are there any questions in the